The first time I realized something was wrong in our home, I was 13 years old. My mother, Jessica, had remarried a man named David just a year before. At first, everything seemed like the fresh start she had always wanted. David was charming, polite, and always had this way of winning people over with his smile. To the neighbors, he looked like the perfect husband. To my mom, he was stability after years of struggling on her own. And to me, at least in the beginning, he seemed like someone who cared. But that was only on the surface. I remember the night my mom first introduced him to me. We were living in a small 2-bedroom apartment at the edge of town. The walls were thin, the carpet worn out, and the kitchen always smelled faintly of the old paint on the cupboards, but it was home. Mom had worked so hard to keep us afloat after my dad left. She carried 2 jobs, waitressing in the mornings and working nights at a local store. She barely slept, but she always smiled at me like everything was fine. When David came into the picture, she started smiling differently, like she had finally let someone carry the weight for her. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with neatly trimmed dark hair and eyes that always seemed like they were calculating something. "This is David," she told me that night, nervously adjusting the bracelet on her wrist. He's going to be around more often." David leaned down with a grin. "Hey, kiddo. I've heard a lot about you." Back then, I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe that maybe this man was the missing piece, that maybe our lives would change. For the first few months, it really seemed that way. He would take us out for dinner, surprise my mom with flowers, and even help me with homework sometimes. He bought me a new bike when mine got stolen, and my mom cried that night, saying she couldn't remember the last time someone had been so thoughtful. But things started to shift slowly, so slowly, that I almost didn't notice. David had this way of making small comments, things that seemed harmless on the surface but left me feeling uneasy. He would step into my room without knocking, saying he just wanted to check if I needed anything. Sometimes I'd catch him watching me longer than felt normal, but when I looked back, he would smile like it was nothing. I never said anything, because what could I even say? Mom seemed happier than she had been in years, and the last thing I wanted was to ruin it. One evening, while Mom was working late, David suggested we watch a movie together. I remember sitting on the couch, the glow of the television flickering across the dark room. He sat too close, and I could feel the tension in my chest, but I didn't know how to tell him to move. When Mom came home that night, David jumped up and greeted her at the door like nothing was wrong. She looked so relieved to see him waiting up that I bit my tongue and kept everything to myself. That became a pattern. He was perfect when she was around, but different when we were alone. At first, it was just the looks, the way he lingered, or the way he always found reasons to be near me. But soon, it turned into something darker. And it was a darkness I couldn't find the words to explain. By the time I was 15, the tension had become unbearable. I avoided being home alone with him whenever I could. I stayed after school, joined clubs I didn't even like, and spent hours at the library just to avoid the silence of the house when only he and I were there. But he noticed. He always noticed. "You're avoiding me, kiddo," he said once, leaning against the doorway of my room with that smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. I thought we were closer than that. I forced a laugh and shook my head, but inside, my stomach twisted. He wasn't supposed to know I was scared. Then came the night everything shattered.